Hello and welcome back. This is Christopher Aaron. This is the iGold Advisor channel. It is August 24th, 2023, and it is time for a silver price forecast. It has been way too long since we have looked at silver here in these videos, so let us do that in no uncertain terms. Guys, I just wanted to let you know also, I just completed an interview with the folks over at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, and this is available for free if you want to watch it. I'm going to post a link to this interview below in the description. In this interview, we get into a lot of other topics other than silver. We get into gold, the battles that gold is fighting on two different fronts, as well as a number of other topics. So make sure to check out that free interview if you want to see even more. And let's get into the silver price forecast. The legal disclaimer. And we go. So let's take a look at silver in the most clear format possible. And we try to tune out as much of the noise. We try to tune out the stories and the myths and the people claiming this and that, and we focus on the only thing that really matters. If you actually sit down with yourself and ask yourself, hey, what do I actually care about the most? It's usually the price. So we boil it down to the most important thing, and we look at trends in the price. And so let's look at the trend that we are currently in. Still in a primary downtrend. You can see that right here by the solid blue lines. Remember, solid and heavy are more significant, for example, than dashed or light lines, according to our key here. So solid, silver is still in this downward trend going all the way back from 2020. Within that downward trend, there's this new attempt you can see here at the rising structure out of the October 2022 lows. So silver has been rising for almost 9 months now, but that rise itself comes within a larger scale downtrend. Is that visible to you? So let's talk about the levels that we need to see broken to constitute the possibility for silver to start having a more significant move higher. The level on the upside comes in precisely at $25.50. That's this upper right here, the upper boundary of the solid blue downtrend, representing a lot of these peaks going back for the last 3 years. That level comes in at $25.50. And so as to eliminate any false signals, what we would want to see here are 2 weekly closes above $25.50. And we are talking about spot prices here, which is as close to the true underlying bulk commodity bullion price. We're not talking about the futures price because that can have a premium above the spot price. So 2 weekly closes above $25.50 is the trigger level for a much stronger move higher. Now, if that fails to occur, the level that we need to watch on the downside here is $21.90. If $21.90 were to break to the lower side, it tells us we're still in this primary declining trend and that the grind is going to continue for some time farther. So, the visible short-term pattern that we are in is right here. You can see it quite clearly defined. It's this triangle that has an apex in it, the first quarter of 2024. Now, most of these triangle patterns, if you look at this, really this triangle started back here in the earlier part of the year with these swing lows and swing peaks. Most of these triangles resolve themselves around 2/3 of the way through the pattern. And so that point is coming soon. It's not going to take until the first quarter of 2024 to resolve itself. And the trigger level here, whichever one of these levels is broken, either 25.50 or 21.90, is going to give silver its next direction for possibly several years after that point. So this is really important, which of these levels break here. And remember, these levels change throughout time. This trigger level is rising by about 5 cents every week, and this trigger level is falling by about 5 cents every week. And these levels, as you can see, will converge here around the 24.50 level as we get into the beginning part of next year. Now, to make this case even more prescient for you as to how important these trigger levels are when we're studying a market, what I want to do is rewind to the last major cycle that we saw in silver, the last major breakout, which happened after the panic of the coronavirus in early 2020. And we look at, when did silver have this major move here? Is there a way to define when these levels, when these major moves have a high probability of occurring? And in fact, there is. And so if we do a similar type of analysis to the present moment, but go back to the last cycle between 2015 and 2020, and we look at the trend structure that had developed here from the peak in 2016, lower and lower and lower peaks and lower peaks, and we just look, when was the breakout point? The breakout point was here in June of 2020. And so if we say, so we're simply waiting for the series of lower peaks to break, and that breaking of the trend, although it seems simplistic to some people, it can actually be extremely powerful when properly applied. And so we see the breaking here. This was at the $18.60 level back in June of 2020 as being the trigger for this downward structure to give way to what? A significant move. Nearly a doubling from the breakout point here in a little over 2.5 months. So we bring that back to the present moment here, and you look at the similarity between these structures here. And yes, there are differences. The little twists and turns are different along the way. But the major point to take away here is that we're looking at a trigger point of 25.50, which would be analogous to this trigger point back here in 2020. We need to see that 25.50 level broken, and then it brings up at least the possibility of another major surge higher. We could talk about how much higher that surge will come. I have various ways of estimating targets, but I would prefer to save that discussion for another day. Right now, I want to focus on, do we even have the possibility of this occurring? And that level that we need to see broken is $25.50 in the spot market. Let's not forget about the lower boundary that is rising here, and that trigger level, should the market be so unfortunate, is down at $21.90. So converging here, very tight. We are focused on $25.50. That is only $1.40 away from being triggered now. I mean, silver moved $1.40 higher last week. So this could very easily happen within the next week, but just continue to watch it because it's going to be a very important point. And you should follow when and if this breakout occurs to prepare yourself for what is coming ahead. Thank you for tuning in to this video. If you would like to follow the wider coverage of the markets with us, not only silver, but gold, the gold and silver mining sector, Bitcoin, which had a major breakdown last week that we are following for premium members, U.S. stock market, the currencies, the commodities, as well as the exact investments that we are making here. The service for you is called Precious Metals Intelligence Plus. You receive videos like you're seeing right now, but much more in depth, covering all these topics and more, with flash updates going right to your inbox when we make a decision that impacts you. So you don't have to wait for the free videos to be posted here on YouTube. If you would like to take your investing to the next level, you should consider elite private placements. This is where we get together. We have a solid group of investors that is growing. And what we do is we negotiate terms with gold and silver mining companies. And we oftentimes get the companies to give us shares for a lesser price than you can buy those same shares in the open market. So when you do a private placement, you can get cheaper shares, which means more of a profit should the company rise. And you also get free, yes, free warrants with every single investment that you make. And so those warrants get you nearly 2 times the upside compared to buying the exact same companies in the open market. There's typically a $10,000 minimum for each investment. So this allows us to focus on investors that are really looking to take their investing careers to the next level. And remember, you get a free subscription to Precious Metals Intelligence as well when you join us in the private placement service. We're focused on gold, silver private placements, and once those metals break out, however, we will be turning our attention to other commodities because we're not going to chase the markets once they move higher. So we're going to be having copper private placements. We're going to be having battery metal, industrial metal, and even energy private placements over the next year. If you'd like to sit down and speak with me one-on-one, either in person if you're in my area, or by phone or by Skype, please know you can reach me on the consultations tab. I am 100% independent. I take no fees from any of the companies, any of the bullion dealerships, nothing like that whatsoever. I simply work on a fee basis for individuals so that I can give you unbiased perspective, unbiased analysis, and unbiased guidance on these markets from an independent perspective. Thank you for tuning in this week. Make sure that you watch those trigger levels on silver and think about how you're going to prepare your portfolio for when silver triggers.